What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I am Gene.
I'm Abe.
And we're back at you with another topic. We want to talk about coaching, just as a generalized topic. We have some questions here we can go through, but first up, before we even started, you were talking about what is the difference between an athlete and a normal human being.
Yeah.
And what we mean is not in the CrossFit sense, because in CrossFit they stupidly call everyone an athlete, which always annoyed me. But
yeah,
because my no offense, grandma, like my 70-year-old grandma is not an athlete, but they would call her an athlete.
For sure.
So it's like, but can we have a different name here? Whatever. So anyway, we're talking about an athlete, someone who actively participates in a sport. Right? That'd be about the start and the end of the definition.
They're training for performance.
Okay, cool.
Versus you're training so you can get off the toilet by yourself.
Very different.
Yeah, it's definitely a different regimen.
I'm not going to make any more jokes. But I'm big of a dick already. I'm going to let it go.
But no, it's, when it comes to the workouts, obviously, depending on the sport, there's certain things that they have to focus on to succeed. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do things for performance, a lot of times too, they're not always make sense for everyday people.
Absolutely.
And I think over the last 10 years, things have started to change a lot because of CrossFit and functional fitness classes and things like what's that thing we went and ran at with the lights? Orange Theory.
Orange Theory, yes.
Like things like that, right?
They all the new fitness places have different colored lights.
A lot of them are trying to give you something that's for your everyday health, or they're trying to keep you entertained, right?
Right.
Now, probably for the 50 years before that, everyone was just trying to emulate what football players and basketball players did.
Yeah, true.
Which was really dumb because they hurt themselves a lot because,
Right.
And that's why there's a lot of things with people getting scared working out and stuff, right? Because you got these strength guys that are
you're training like an athlete, and you're not an athlete, so you get hurt.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, because you train really hard and then you go sit,
right,
and then you stand up and throw your back out.
That's right.
So, but yeah, and then motivational wise though is we were kind of talking about that, but it's athletes understand that they have to do this to be better going forward.
Right.
And they think more ahead, I think, than most people.
Right.
Some people do. I'm not saying not everyone doesn't, but I think a lot of people are thinking about how they look in the mirror and right now. Mm-hmm. And the athlete's not really focused on right now. They're thinking about next season, right?
Right. This is a tangent, but I remember reading something. I don't know what the hell it was, so there's no way I'll find it. But they were talking about the physique of a bodybuilder or someone who works out for aesthetics versus a CrossFitter, and they were talking about how we're talking about the top tier dudes, like the Rich Fronings, the Annie Thorsdaughters, those people versus bodybuilders, and how the bodies look different.
Definitely.
Whereas a bodybuilder, it's symmetry and it's certain things are developed because they work on it, versus a CrossFitter, which is their bodies they look good, but they're built for functional stuff.
Yeah, and efficiency.
And so you get it's a different aesthetic.
Absolutely.
And I think, again, huge tangent, but it's interesting that the CrossFitter aesthetic is really the new aesthetic for muscular human beings. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny. And I think that leads into the whole idea of why we're calling everyday people athletes.
Yeah, I think that's where
it's a sales tactic, people.
They reach for it that way, right. Yes. But it's not the same.
I always try to be very careful when I talk to other people about what I'm doing with the words working out versus training. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Are you the same way? Do you give a shit?
I don't give a shit, but I think it makes more sense because of martial arts and stuff, probably too. And you also, it's kind of you're focusing a lot of things for a certain purpose. I'm just fucking doing hero workouts.
Right. That's fun.
I don't have a purpose.
Right.
So I don't consider it. I'm not training. I'm just doing some stupid shit.
Yeah, but that's my point though. That an athlete would be training for a goal. They'd be training to perform better in a sport or in whatever scenario that they are using the workout or the training to improve.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a bit different, right? Just, if your sport you play needs you to jump higher, you would be smart to work out and train things that make you jump higher.
Yeah, definitely.
Not worry about the way your lats look when you pull up. Mm-hmm. Very different.
That's very different. I don't think one athlete who plays a professional sport has ever given a shit what they look like.
Right. It's a byproduct of working hard.
Yeah.
Usually. And like you wouldn't tell an offensive lineman for the NFL that, they're fat. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Unless they're fat, but like they're usually pretty friggin' strong.
Yeah.
Because that's their goal, is to be heavier than the other person and be stronger.
Definitely.
That's an aesthetic that goes with it. Mm-hmm. I find that part fascinating with, the fitness industry, how it's sort of overlaid on top of, where it came from. You know what I mean? Because I imagine at some point in history, we didn't work out to look better. You know what I mean? At some point in history, we just started like doing things that made us perform better. And then like we realized, those people start looking good. And so it just gets extracted into just this, we're just doing fitness for whatever reason.
When you look at men's magazine, they're like, do Chris Hemsworth Thor workout to look like Thor. It's like, you're not going to fucking look
Isn't
like
he streaming like his own workouts right now too? I think he has like an app where it's just him working out.
Could be, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people doing those kind of things.
Really working out, just watching him work out.
Yeah.
That's not what the app's intended for, people.
But like, those guys were going in and, one workout does not, let me fix something real quick. When you do that one workout, it ain't going to do shit for you.
Right.
Chris Hemsworth is doing like 3 or 4 workouts a day.
And he's eating like 1,000 calories.
Yeah, he has a personal trainer walking around with him and stopping him and doing shit randomly and all that kind of stuff.
And also he's Thor.
Yeah. They do that because people are like, oh, and then they follow Men's Journal because they think that's what it's. Right. It's not.
If I buy his app, I will look like Thor.
Yeah, that won't happen.
No.
It won't.
If it did, I would already have bought his app.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do you program, like as a coach? I mean, you've been doing this a hell of a lot longer than I have. How do you program? How's it? And by programming, I mean the workouts that you give people. How is it different for an athlete who's training versus, the CrossFit athlete who's just a member of your gym that shows up 3 days a week?
Yeah, well, obviously the workout, and you can look up CrossFit lingo, but they call it GPP, generalized whatever.
Right.
I don't fucking. That's one
what
of the.
Is it?
It's just generalized
general physical preparedness.
Yeah, it's just basically you just do shit that will be good for everyone.
Yeah,
and that's what a normal.
What's the words that CrossFit uses? Like look good naked. Like that's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So yeah, it's just workouts that anyone can do. You can modify it in any way, and it's going to help everyone for your overall health and wellness. And then with even to go from there, like for people that are wanting to be specifically better in CrossFit, then we work on things that mostly that they suck at. What we kind of do is I do like a circle. We start off like, all right, I suck at this. Okay. And then we try to get that better. Once that's better, then we move on to the next worst thing. Okay. And so you keep spiraling up. So eventually you'll get back to that same thing you started with, but it's going to be at a higher level than when you started with. And so and that can be on like movements, but it can also be on sprints workouts or endurance workouts, things like that. So those are kind of the mixtures I do with that. And then going from there with actually like professional athletes, you try to find out what they're wanting to succeed in that sport. So if we use basketball and an easy one, like jumping, like, all right, I can dunk, just not very well. I also want to get better at jumping up and blocking, things like that. Mm-hmm. So then you specifically are going to focus a lot on the jumping aspect and how to improve that each time that they come in. So you're probably going to have 5 or 6 exercises that will take a half hour where you're focusing on getting better at jumping. You still do other things that are important to the sport, working on arm strength, okay, working on leg strength too, just getting low into a squat position when you are on defense, things like that.
Because a human being is an organism. It's all connected. So
agility drills, things like that. So you're trying to hit a bunch of things, but then you have one specific thing that you're going to spend a lot more time on until you see progress from that.
It's be like a jumping biased program of workouts.
Yeah, I would say most times you'd come in if your vertical leap is shit, then half the stuff we're probably going to do is on vertical leap, but then the rest of it's just on general to that sport.
Right. Makes sense.
Again, it's different with every sport, right? You're not going to do agility drills necessarily with like a fucking golfer. Right?
Depends on the type of golf.
I mean,
we've seen the golf where they spin the bottle and then everybody runs away and you have to hit them.
I have seen that.
You need some agility for that game.
Yeah, but with them, it's more of you want to work on their hip rotation. Right. You probably want to work a lot on mobility because they have a lot of imbalances, things like that. So every sport's different, and then again, it's different based on what that athlete needs to improve on. For again, what you're trying to improve on is for the next season. When we look at regular people, we're looking at for the next 30, 40 years, right? So it's got to be a lot more generalized. Because
you're not going to beat them up with like volume just because of I would imagine an athlete too would have a shorter time frame usually to work in too, because you're like working out in the off season.
Yeah, that's usually when you work out the hardest and you're going to focus on something. Right. They still, they're going to have practice, probably some lift days, I would say, during the season, even like right up leading up to it. I'd probably say halfway. Usually how we did it before was like halfway through the season, we completely stop any like strength stuff. Right. But still the first like month or so into a season, you're still kind of doing some things because you're still improving. Right.
So this is not a sport, but God, who was I talking to? That was a while back. I think it was the guy Pat McNamara. He does the combat strength training thing, and he was talking about this is for like, let's say, combat athletes, like soldiers. Yeah. And how, or even a fighter, like a mixed martial artist fighter, MMA fighter for UFC or something, how it could be a tactical disadvantage to be sore. If you're a soldier, you don't necessarily want to be sore after doing Murph like the day that you're going into fight. That would be a tactical disadvantage. So I imagine that comes into play too with the
with sports. So volume. So say the season's over, you're probably taking like maybe a month off. I don't know. It depends on your attitude. But then the volume hits really, really hard. You're doing a lot. And volume slowly decreases the closer you get to the start of the season. And you're still doing some things during the season to maintain strength. Because if you're not working out, right? If you start the season, like basketball's in like October, right? End of October, early November. Right. And it goes until March. Oh, April.
That's a long season. Yeah.
April. I guess it ends in April, the last game. Yeah. So, was that 6 months, 5 months, something like that?
Half the year.
You'll lose a lot in 3 months, like strength wise and things like that. So you have to do things during the season to maintain, and so the volume isn't there. You're not You're not going to be sore because you're active all the time. It's usually just like we're doing 5 sets of 10 to just maintain strength. So you're still getting something in, and that would be like twice a week. Right. For strength. That's if you're doing strength stuff. Now, they're still going to do agility drills. They're going to do all those kinds of things because those are important to improve on as well, because those are neurological. Like those are things that you can improve and not have much soreness with. And
that was the theory I was reading about too, is that you can almost always improve your neurological response, like at any point. And then it doesn't necessarily diminish it will over a longer period of time though, as opposed to like strength, which diminishes faster. Yeah. It's interesting.
And I'm sure that there's some guys that might even still do some type of strength even after those 3 months, but I know for when we were talking about it, I think it was when I was actually talking with the Indiana basketball strength coach. We had a few classes where we'd go in and watch them practice, and he would explain like why they're doing shit. Right. And I think that's kind of what he followed. Was they would, once the season start, they're on maintenance mode for about 3 months, and then they kind of just like fade away. If they want to come in and do stuff, they can, but it's not. It's more of just keeping that strength that they gained, and then once the season's over, then you try to beef it up again, get stronger.
Fix something else.
Yeah, because in those like 6 months that they're off, that they can gain significant strength.
Right.
And you see that with freshman to junior year. A lot of guys
they change physically drastically.
Yeah, because they got to get a lot of them NBA ready. You know, so that was a whole tangent about I don't know what.
Oh, that's
I don't
cool.
even know where we're starting.
Nerding out about it, man. That's important. I mean, we talked about that, so that's interesting. So there's a difference between, let's say, intensity versus like capacity, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know where I'm going with this, but like what's the difference between, let's say, how an athlete trains as far as intensity versus, would you say, the GPP focused average human being?
Yeah,
as a coach, what do you want out of him?
Well, for an athlete, say we're in the off season, our goal is to get them into the best shape, and they're going to start. Our goal is to, break down their bodies until they're done, until maybe they throw up or collapse. Right. Because you have to push their bodies to their limits to get the max out of it. Right. The goal is to get their VO2 max higher, which is your ability to bring in oxygen and use it correctly, and then their muscle endurance. Because I'm thinking about basketball. With these guys, you're playing 40 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. But those 40 minutes aren't lackadaisical. You're sprinting up and down the court, right? So you're going to be going 70-80% for a majority of the time, and then a lot of spurts you're going 90-100% because you're trying to get around, you're trying to make whatever. So you have to push them to their absolute limits when you're like doing that first month to 2 months of training in the off season. And for people, again, the difference is they're looking for overall health, right? And a lot of people don't like discomfort. Yeah. And I think it's embedded in athletes that are wanting to do better to know you have to be uncomfortable. Right. You have to push yourself to the limits. And a lot of times that helps drive them and start to enjoy exercise. Because when you push your body to its limits, you also you see more results, you feel better, all that kind of stuff. Right. And it's just a lot different with regular people. It's more of a motivation thing. Because there's no... The only reason why someone has to come in and work out is so that they don't die early. Right. That's the reality. Right. This guy who's playing basketball wants to be in the NBA, and if he is not doing that, he's not going to basically get the job that he's always wanted his whole life, and that he thinks about every 5 seconds. Right. Okay. Yeah. And so there's a difference of mindset. That mindset is very different. Yeah. Right. So that's probably what I would say is the big thing about it. Yeah, that is. I do find with your average population of gym goers, the mindset coaching is probably half the job. Yeah, if not more. And that's probably why you see people have such good results with something like CrossFit or high intensity training, HIIT training, or whatever, because it is more intense than probably anything they've ever experienced just out of the box. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Just because of the nature of how it's engineered. Yeah, the reason I find it successful is because the people that come in, they do it, and maybe they drop off, or maybe they're like, I can't afford it, or I just want to try something new. They go somewhere else, and again, there's no offense to other types of workouts, but they go somewhere else and do like a jazzercise class. I'll just say that because I don't even know if they exist anymore. You go do jazz actually, but whatever. Okay, well, sorry if you're a jazzerciser, but you go there and you're like you might sweat, but you're like, I didn't work out. I definitely didn't lift weights. Because I think you start to learn to, sweating is important, but you can sweat by just going to McDonald's and eating 5 cheeseburgers. Right. That doesn't mean you did anything important. I've done that. I've never done that. No, just kidding. There's people that just sweat all the time. Right. You sweat cooking. Yeah. It's I'm a huge sweater. Yeah. Yes. The verb. But that, not the noun. That doesn't mean again that you got something out of what you're doing. Right. Or you got something significant enough that it's helping your health. Right. Makes sense. So, yeah. Huh. I don't know. That's just kind of my thoughts on it. Okay. All right. So let's shift gears a little bit.
something that I've noticed that I'm talking about athletes too, but like your general human beings or whatever that come in the gym. It takes a while, but they will eventually begin to understand how to approach a workout. Right? At first, it's just survival, and they rely on the coach a lot more to just make them like not stop, or I can't tell you how many times I just say, "You're forgetting to breathe." You're literally not breathing
all the time,
which is like, it seems like the one thing you do, but I mean, I've done that too. But at a certain point, they want to understand. Okay, well, let's take a CrossFit workout like Fran. It's like the quintessential dumb one I'm going to mention, right? It's Fran, but like they want to know how do I approach that? How do I make my time actually better? How do I begin to compete? Which is again one of the things about CrossFit that is weird. Which is like, how do I compete in a workout? Yeah. But that's what it is. But how do I do that? How do I approach that workout? What advice do you have as a person that's been doing this a hell of a lot longer than I have to people that are at that point where they're trying to figure out how the hell do I start to game plan my workout?
Yeah. I mean, I think first is you have to, we'll take Fran because it's thrusters and pull-ups. First,
it's like the standard one, right? I didn't know what else.
First things first, you got to count how long does it take you to do one, and then add up, and then that's the obvious maximum time that it could ever be, right?
Right.
Which is, most of it's unrealistic unless, again, you're like Rich Froning or Matt Frazier or something. But
there are some unreal Fran times in the world.
So
sure.
First you take that time. Okay, so you have to break down. You have to know what the fastest it can be, and you have to know what your last one was. Say, I don't know what the fastest Fran time is, like a minute and a half or something.
It's under 2 minutes.
Yeah, so
freaking nuts.
We'll say it's a minute and a half because I'm not going to try to do the math crazy right now. So, you take say you did it last in 8 minutes, right? Then you have to start breaking down what you're good at. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You might be good at pull-ups, but really suck at thrusters.
Yeah, and we're not going to get. I'm not going to, because I could spend like a whole hour on this. Like there's a difference between a long workout, a medium workout, a short workout, an AMRAP, a one for time. Okay,
right.
So I'm just giving you a little overall synopsis. But so now I know what the fastest time is. I know what that is. What's my best movement? Say it's pull-ups, right? Say I'm really good at pull-ups. Okay. It's
pretty common to be better at pull-ups than thrusters. I've seen that so many times.
So if you're really good at pull-ups, say you have that ability to do at least 21 in a row, right? Okay. So then your goal in that workout is, okay, I'm going to always make sure when I go up for my pull-ups that I'm going to be able to do all of them without stopping. Okay. So that's half the workout then is already to your fastest that it can be.
Right.
So that's 21:59, whatever you want to say. Say it's like a minute or whatever.
Right.
Okay. Now with the thrusters, okay, you have to, you're obviously wanting to improve, but you want to, if you're going to break it up, which most likely you're going to have to break it up if you're already struggling with it. So break it up into something that you're not going to kill yourself at the beginning. Okay. So like, say you can do 5, sit it down for a second, pick it up, do 5 again, and that's kind of like your pace. Then I would break those up so that when you're done with that first 21, then you can do all of those 21 pull-ups in a row, right? Because that's what you're good at.
Right.
Whatever you suck at, you want to pace yourself so it doesn't disrupt you for the things that you're good at.
Got you.
Because what a lot of people do,
if you try to if you can do 5, but then you rip out 10,
they're like,
but you're dead when you get back on the pull-up bar.
I love pull-up. I fucking hate thrusters, so I'm just gonna do them all, right? You do them all, and then you're fucking dead. And now you can't do your pull-ups very well anymore. Right. And then you get back to the thrusters, and you suck at those, and you're going back, and then you suck at the pull-ups again, and then you suck at the thrusters again, and you suck at the pull-ups again. People just burn themselves out, especially in these short ones. So 5. Rest 5 seconds, 5, rest 5 seconds, 5, or I think it's 1, whatever. Yeah. And then you go right into your pull-ups. You knock all those out. And then come off, and then you do your 5s again. 5, rest, 5, rest, 5. Right. Do your 15 pull-ups. Now when you're on your last leg.
Your strengths.
Now when you're on your last leg, though, that's when you might try to do more.
Because you don't have anything else left.
It depends on how you feel. If
Right.
you're already starting to feel dead, do your 5, do your 4,
Right.
finish. But if you feel good and you feel like you can push your way and do all of those
Right.
the last 2 rounds of the 9, then that's when you want to
Right.
take that and go all out, right? Because it's the end. The pain will be there very shortly, and then it's gone, and you can move on from it. So that's how I would break down that. But you got to focus on what you're good at, and then break up things that you're terrible at. Anytime there's a run or a row in a workout, that should always be your rest time. What does that mean? That even if you suck at it, it means go at a pace where you're catching your breath. So when you come in or when you're going to the next thing.
I don't know how many times I've pushed it on the run portion of a workout. Like this one, Helen. It's got the run, the kettlebell swings, and the pull-ups, I think. I'll go hit the run, and I'll like be dead when I come in. Whereas I should have slowed that part down.
Yeah.
Because what difference does it make if I'm running slower versus waiting an extra 2 minutes?
Yeah, that's the big thing. Is like, so running a slow.
It'll get you there faster.
Let's go with 400 meters.
Yeah.
Okay, if you say you're all out 400 meters, I'll go off what my all time when I was in high school is 59 seconds.
That's fast.
Okay, it's like 50. I don't know. It's 58 or 59, somewhere around there in the 50s.
It's like my 200 time.
Right. So then, a slow 400 for me is a minute and a half.
Right.
Right. That's 30 seconds. Okay. If I go all out, I am absolutely going to be resting way more than 30 seconds for me to recover to do the next thing.
Right.
But if I'm going 130, and I'm a little like I'm out of breath, but I'm not dead. I'm not.
It's the
I don't
difference
need
between
to
out of
rest.
breath and being out of breath.
Yeah, I call it dead and out of breath.
Yeah,
you know
there's a big difference.
I'm not dead. I'm just a little out of breath, so I can go right into
Right.
the next movement, and
Right.
it's not going to change anything.
Right. If you can't walk in and immediately do the next thing on the list, you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is people usually don't do that.
No, I rarely do that.
Or the other thing I see is just people just go they never, when they are onto what they're good at, they don't push themselves.
Right. That's the thing you should be going.
If you're good at something, fucking push through it.
Right.
Like that's the point. Like, that's the point of like getting your endurance better, getting your sprinting better. It's also going to help you improve on that thing that you're already good at.
Right.
I think break it down. Know what the absolute fastest time something can be. Know what you did last. Focus on what you're good at. Break up everything else, or take it at a slower speed on things that you're not good at. That's how I'd first start with it.
Awesome. That's perfect. And the whole point of that is, how that's what we started with. We're bringing it back full circle, which is like intention, training with intention, right? It's training to be better at something specific versus training to just be more healthy. How do we get a person to train with intention? If they're kind of an athlete, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Their intent is to win at whatever sport they're doing. Like if I'm training to get better at Fran, well, my intention is to get better at whatever the two components of Fran is. How does that apply to the general preparedness or whatever, like person?
Yeah, there are some people that like enjoy working out, and they probably don't need anything. That's fine. The people that feel like they fall off and things like that, to me, what I've seen is it's because you're not working for anything. When you're not trying to achieve something,
right?
You're not like.
And that's sort of, we tap into that a little bit by what is it saying? We try to get at your why. And I'm putting that in quotes. Like, why are you here? Why do you exist? What's the meaning of your life? This is why you came in here. Don't forget your why. But it's like it needs to be deeper than that.
Yeah, there has to be something that's going to drive you.
Because if we're coaches, if we're at the point where we're calling in your why to get you to come work out, we're already at the last. We're up against the wall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If we're like, remember your children. This is why you're working out. Like we're against the wall. Like we don't have anywhere else to go as coaches to get you in here. You know what I mean? It's like the last thing that we want to pull out.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not. It can be pretty desperate. Depends on the person.
yeah, it's. I think we see it a lot with. So Diane and Ray are good. They want to achieve this climb this crazy
Right, yeah,
fucking
we have
mountain.
2 members that what is it called? 20 million mile. I don't know what the fuck it is.
It's climbing Mount Everest on a smaller mountain. You just do it over and over and over again.
It's crazy.
And then they do Spartan races, right?
Yeah.
So they were obviously they both liked fitness beforehand, but they set this goal for themselves,
right?
And now they push themselves even harder. They're in here. There's no reason to ask, hey, are you coming in? We already they're here.
Yeah.
We fucking know that shit. There's no reason.
We're like, they're not here. We're like, what's wrong with whoever?
Yeah.
Like, did they get in an accident? Something's wrong. They're not here. Yeah,
exactly. But and then we see Poonam and Evan. They're working on becoming what's their next belt that they're on?
Whatever belt they're at. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to be black belts. But
they're trying to be black belts, so they're working on the next belt. So they're training for a purpose and intention, right? So when people have these kinds of things, then the motivation to us having to be like, why didn't you come in? It's not even a question. Like they're already disappointed in themselves if they didn't do it, and then they will probably contact us and be like, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, help me not be an idiot.
Yeah. So you have to find something, some type of interest in health or wellness or something for it to be worth it. Some people is just like getting off medication. It can be that simple too.
Right.
But you have to it has to drive you a lot. The only people that come in that don't have a real goal are ones that just went to the hospital for a health scare. And we don't ever want to get to that point to that to be our motivation.
Right. That's triage coaching. We're just trying to get you to learn how to be healthy.
So if you don't have something that you're focusing on or something that interests you, go find it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is we won't be able to do that for you, but there's tons of stuff out there.
Yeah, we can suggest a lot of things. But
from martial arts to races to contests to competitions to all kinds of stuff.
There's literally a competition for amateurs in anything.
Yeah. There's bodybuilding, CrossFit,
eating
karate,
hot dogs.
Eating hot dogs, and you got to work out every single day to be able to do that kind of stuff.
The people who win the hot dog eating contests aren't just giant fat people.
Yeah,
they're usually the skinny little teenagers.
Yeah, they're athletes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, because they need a metabolism. They need to
it's ridiculous.
have their body want that kind of stuff. So there's all kinds of things out there. You got to just go find it, and use that.
Yeah.
To help get you to the next level.
Right. That's that's not the easy part. That's not the easy part of coaching. Not the fun part necessarily.
Yeah, it's hard because it's hard convincing people to go find that.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, they could do it the other way. They wouldn't need the business, I guess.
Yeah.
You just go lift rocks or tires in your backyard. So okay, that's pretty much full circle there. That's where we're trying to get to. It's like just the difference between training with intention versus not training with intention. It's pretty easily explained with the difference between an athlete who's training for a sport versus someone who's just training to not die an early death. So there you go.
Completely agree.
All right, man.
That's all she wrote.